Hello, welcome back to Buckle Up. My name's Rob Wilson, and this is a Renault Twizy. Yes, we're doing this. Okay, so we're at the front of the vehicle. We're going to do this slightly differently because obviously the front, side and the back are pretty much all in the same place on this car, but we'll stick to this general area. The first thing I want to talk about is the general styling of the vehicle, because it could possibly be the least threatening thing I've ever seen in my life. There's no way that you could invade a country with 100 of these. No one would be scared. But it is... Although it looks strange, granted, it does have fairly conventional things like lights and indicators and the number plates in the middle like normal. But it's just obviously very narrow, 6 inches narrower than a Smart 4.2, which is obviously very small, which we'll find more about when we get inside. But the thing I want to talk about is this little charging port down here. So you have to open this very carefully because it snaps apparently very easily. That's what the owner has told us, so I'm going to just be very gentle as I open it up to there. And if you go any further, it'll just snap. But in here, you have, eventually, not an accordion, but, oh God, come on, come on, come on. Come on. A plug. A 3-pointed plug. Well, it's not really. That's a Korean plug and then it's plugged into a British one so that he can plug it in at home, but that's your sort of your distance that you've got for charging. So you might want an extension cable unless you've got a plug on an outside wall, and then that just sort of tucks back in there. Oh God, does it? Please do that. Yes. So that's there, and you've also got your windscreen washer bottle there, so you can fill that up. Just be very careful as I close it. There we go. Now, speaking of the windscreen washer, because there is no actual sort of bonnet, there's nowhere to mount the washer nozzle, so it's actually built in here into the windscreen wiper assembly, so it'll clean as you go along. This windscreen is also heated because this is a top spec Twizy. Yes, there were specs. I think what we'll do now is go and look at the side because it's got some interesting doors. Okay, so we've moved on to the side, which was a long walk, but we'll start with the crumple zone because Renault says this car does have a crumple zone. I assume they're referring to this bit as opposed to my knees and my face, which is what I actually think the crumple zone will be when I start driving it, but that's obviously going to dissipate some energy somewhere, probably. The tyres, let's talk about that, or the wheels in general really, because it is sort of an open wheel car. The tyres at the front are 125 80s with 13-inch rims. Yes, that's the same as my original Mini had, 13s. Brilliant. These doors are an optional extra, and they have, because this is a Korean import, they have this optional window surround which actually goes the full way. The Renault one that you could get only went to about there and like tailed off, so it was actually exposed at the back slightly, but there is no door handle. So how do you get in? Well, you slide the window. This is very secure. You slide the window. There's fasteners that hold the window in place, because if you don't put them on, the window just flaps like this when you're driving along, and that's not good. So you undo the I don't know what you call them, like ties. You then pull the window out slightly, you lift the door handle, and then, as if by magic...
Well, the whole bottom trim just fell off.
That's fine. It's fine, we'll keep going. The trim has fallen off, but we're fine. And the door opens like so. Yes. We'll close that back up slowly. The trim is sticking out, but we'll ignore that for now, and we'll get to the back, which has the tyres are slightly thicker. They're 145s, so you know, basically a Lamborghini Countach at this point with the size of the rear tyres. No, it's basically bicycle tyres at the front and then motorbike tyres at the back. They're just ever so slightly thicker. I've also discovered that as I walk along the car, it has many features that appear on today's super and hypercars. So I will start with the fact that it is open wheeled like a Formula 1 car. It has these I'm not going to open the doors again. It has those doors that are from a Lamborghini. It has a central driving position from a Gordon Murray Automotive T50. It has these perspex bits down here, same as a McLaren Senna. It has side air intakes, the same as a Ferrari, whatever the latest one is nowadays, because they change the name all the time. And the motor is at the back, like a Porsche 911. It's also got wing mirrors from a Renault. But, oh, and the roof is carbon fibre, like a Toyota GR Yaris. It's basically the sportiest car we've ever reviewed on the channel. Let's go and look at the back, shall we? Oh god, this car. Okay, so here we are at the back of the Twizy, and there isn't really that much to talk about, apart from the fact it's got quite a large central brake light, and it has to be at this height, obviously, otherwise lorries wouldn't even see it and probably crush you and kill you. Generally the same sort of thing, indicators, reflectors, open wheels again, number plate in the middle. There is a reversing camera, which you wouldn't really think would be necessary, and there's parking sensors as well. Again, you wouldn't really think it would be necessary in this kind of vehicle, but there is no rear window. There's nothing here at all, it's just plastic, so I guess that sort of makes sense. You would be forgiven for thinking, the boot will be here, but no, that's exactly what they would expect you to think. The boot is actually inside behind the back seats, so let's go and have a look at that now. Right. So this is how we get into the boot. This is a key for the car, and I have to put it in here, and this falls off, and then, oh god, I'll just leave the key in there. We remove this stylish cushion, put that there. We then lift this entire thing, oh god, which is the seat base, out of the way, and then you can see at the back here there is apparently 30 litres of space, but I'm not quite sure that's true. I don't see what you can get in here. That's not really room. But yeah, that's your boot. So now what I'm going to have to do is reassemble all this so I can demonstrate the back seat. Yeah. So how do we... No. Oh, jeez. Christ. Yes. That's a back seat. I'm out of breath. Hello. I'm now going to try and get into the back seat. I've put the cushion back in place. I've moved the front seat all the way forwards to give me the most amount of room, which I'm definitely going to need. And now I'm going to just very, very gracefully slot myself in there. There we go. And this is, I believe, what you would call solitary confinement if you were in jail. But this is the back seat of the Twizy. I've had worse headroom in a lot of cars, I'll be honest. Knee room at the minute is fine, but I suspect if I ask my colleague to get in the front, it will quickly vanish. Oh God.
Well, I think the first thing is that needs to go basically there.
Oh, you need the seatbelt.
I need the seatbelt.
This is Oh, okay. I'm now married to this chair. The marriage has been consummated. Oh.
Oh, there's quite a lot of room.
I have to say, this isn't the best. I've felt more comfortable. I feel a lot closer to you.
Get vaccinated.
If we weren't vaccinated right now, this would be a problem.
Can you put your seatbelt on?
I don't know where it is. What I have realised that because I can't physically get my seatbelt on in the back, this is now my seatbelt, the back of this seat. So if there was to be, and let's hope there isn't. I'm sorry, I can't see the car.
I'm just trying to get it off. You let that reel back in now.
Yeah. If there was an accident, God forbid, my face is just about 6 inches away from the seat in front. So that's what's going to happen in an accident. I'm just going to smash my face off the back of this seat, and my body's. I'm probably going to lose my genitals in an accident.
As long as I don't get them.
Yeah, I think the seat's probably going to be secure enough. Can I get out, please?
Oh yeah, you should mention the final quirk about this now.
Oh yeah, I can't get out. I bet I can.
You think you can reach the thing?
Oh, it's so close. It's so close, but yet so far. Ah! Now I'm stuck because I've only managed to move it that far.
Shall I let you out?
Yes, please. Thank you. And that's how you get into the back of a Renault Twizy. Please cut the cameras while I go and have some surgery. Okay, so here I am now in the front of the Twizy, and it is an interesting dashboard layout. Notably, there are a couple of things that have been added by previous owners. This car was imported from Korea, and for some reason they've put these, well, I think they're supposed to be cup holders or extra storage things, but they're also Union flags, so I don't, maybe that's a cool thing in Korea to have that. It's just very, very sort of bizarre that it would go to Korea, end up with Union flag cup holders, and then come back to the UK. It does have 2 glove boxes. One is full of stuff at the minute, so I'm not going to talk about that one. It's also not lockable, that one. That one doesn't lock. And then this one does lock, but with the key for the car, which I have here, and if I twist this, I can open it. And it's actually quite deep. It's got a full thing in it there. It goes like, it's about the depth of my hand. So that's that. In terms of your sort of controls, you don't really have many. So if I put the ignition on, ooh, look, everything fires up. So you've got your central screen in the middle, which has got your battery charge, your speedo, like your time, what if you're in drive, neutral or reverse, which you select with these buttons down here. Next to that you've got a hazard switch, conventional sort of wipers, stalk on this side, indicator on this side. You do have an interesting feature, which I've put on now, which is your like pedestrian warning system, because obviously this is an electric car. If you're creeping along, and it could be in an area where there's lots of pedestrians, because this is such a narrow car, it can fit down those sort of streets. You can flick a switch and it does that. So it's letting people know that I'm coming without doing the full sort of, how do you put the horn on? Push? Oh, Jesus, it's like that. Yeah, that's obviously better noise to have than that. My driving position is fairly terrible for me as someone who's 6'2". My head hits off this, what I presume is a roll bar up here, which has also got the speakers built in. So that's not really that convenient. But other than that, there isn't really that much to talk about, because that's sort of what there is. So now what I think we'll do is go for a drive on an actual road. I don't feel safe. Okay, so welcome to the driving experience in a Renault Twizy. This being the time of year that it is in the UK, naturally it's decided to start raining, so I've got a squeaky windscreen wiper, or at least I think it's squeaky because I can't hear it over the sound of everything else in this car. Well, it's not a car, it's a quadricycle, for God's sake. There is so much noise constantly going on. I can't hear myself think. Everything is rattling. Everything. The doors, the windows, even though they're strapped in, are rattling. I'm only going 40 miles an hour, and it feels like I'm going 140 miles an hour. It's absolutely terrifying. There's so much noise. I thought electric cars were supposed to be quiet. Good God. Oh my God, the suspension. Let's come back to the suspension. Let's start talking about the powertrain in the Twizy. So it has a 6.1 kilowatt hour battery, lithium ion, under my arse right now. It's under my bum, it's in the seat, and it has hold on to your hats, it has 17 brake horsepower. Wow, 17, and 42 foot-pounds of torque. So it's not quick. 0 to 60 isn't possible, because the top speed is 50 miles an hour, and I don't know what the 0 to 50 time is, and I don't want to find out, because I'm currently doing 35 miles an hour and it's terrifying, and it feels like it's going to fall to bits and I'm probably going to die. So that battery that's under the seats, it weighs 100 kilograms, so all the weight's down here basically, because it's just a plastic shell. Oh my God. The suspension, which I'm sure you may have picked up on already, is almost non-existent. Apparently that's because Renault didn't want to engineer in any body roll at all. They wanted it to be as stiff as possible to stop it feeling wayward and unstable. But a little bit of suspension would have been nice. Okay, we're getting into some country roads now. A police van has just gone past me, so that's interesting. I wonder if he's ever seen a Twizy before. Probably not. The steering is very, very light indeed. Almost feels like it's not connected to anything. Oh my god. Jeez. Any sort of pothole is just absolutely ruins your spine. I'm very glad that the previous owner supplied these cushions to sit on, because my god, that's probably offering more in terms of suspension than the actual suspension in this car. It has a claimed range of 62 miles when it's fully charged, although I think in the real world you can expect that to be closer to 40. But that isn't exactly bad, considering how small that battery is and what this car is going to be used for, which realistically isn't going to be driving on the motorway or for any sort of long distance. It's only going to be used for driving around town. The only place I've ever really seen these being used is places like Monaco or Saint-Tropez, where people use them to drive down to their yacht that's moored up, because it's small, and with it being electric they can drive it pretty much anywhere, and they can drive it right up to the back of their boat and get on. Brakes, which I'm using now, you have to press quite firmly down on the brake pedal to get any sort of real response from them, which is slightly disconcerting at first because it feels like it won't stop, which is slightly terrifying. It feels like there's almost no servo assistance, which is slightly odd. It's like being in my original Mini again. Charging. Obviously I showed you the cable at the front. So if you plug it into just a 3-pin plug at home, it's 3.5 hours to charge it completely. And that's quite reasonable. I know it doesn't go very far, but if you think about it, 3.5 hours just from a normal household socket is pretty good, really. You can't really complain about that, especially when it's just going to be used for doing town driving, which means that the road surfaces aren't brilliant, and that means that I'm probably not going to have a spine by the end of this review. I'm not really going to be able to explore the limits of grip, but it's got tiny skinny tyres, which we looked at before. It has no traction control, no stability control. So handling, I suspect, is just going to be complete understeer. Oh, come on, brakes. That is very disconcerting. That does not feel like it's going to stop the car. I'll tell you something though, I am having fun. I know it might come across as it being dangerous or whatever, but it is fun. It's bouncing along. Everyone is looking at it. Everyone is looking at it. I don't care what car you've got, a Lamborghini, a McLaren, a Ferrari. More people will look at this, I can promise you that. I'm indicating now to leave the roundabout. I've got no idea what's behind me. Those mirrors are ridiculous. And because it's a Korean import, it's got it in Korean writing on the mirrors, which I suspect, because obviously I'm fluent in Korean, says objects in mirror may appear closer than they are. Some youth in a Vauxhall Corsa VXR has just gone past, staring at me, going, "What the hell are you driving?" And I don't blame him. While we're at these lights, let's talk about value for money. These sell on Auto Trader for about £7,000 upwards, and for that sort of money you can get a base spec Dacia Sandero, which has seating for 5. Granted, it isn't electric, but I think it's more of a complete package than this, without any shadow of doubt. It also means it's a lot more expensive than a Citroen Ami, which I guess is its closest rival, and that has seats that are more like actual seats than next to each other. It's got proper doors. It's actually probably weather protected. This isn't. There is rain coming in, which just adds to the sort of general terror of driving a vehicle like this. Every single person is staring at me thinking, what Burke has bought one of these and is then driving it out in the rain in winter in the UK? And I can't say I blame them, I'll be honest with you. In terms of like acceleration, it can keep up with modern traffic. It doesn't feel so slow that it's dangerous, but you do have to push the accelerator pedal quite firmly in order to make it do anything. There is no refinement at all inside. Having these windows down here is slightly disconcerting as well. You can see the ground going past. In many ways, this is more similar to a scooter than it is to a car. If you think about it, there's seating for two, which I guess there is on a scooter, and I don't think you've got that much more room in this than you would on a scooter. The boot is pathetic. It's probably smaller than on a scooter. It's pretty basic in here, but I'm enjoying it. Speaking of it being a scooter, you get a scooter when you're 16 with a provisional license in the UK. And there are versions of this on the continent outside of Brexit land, where we all live, where you could get a 5 horsepower version, which you could drive from the age of 14 in France. So, you know, it is a genuine alternative to a scooter. Oh, come on, brakes. That's very terrifying when it doesn't stop initially. All those children were laughing at me. I don't blame them. I would be laughing at me too. Okay then, so in conclusion on the Renault Twizy. Do you want to be the centre of attention for the rest of your life, anywhere you go, all of the time? Then this is the car for you. People haven't stopped looking at me all day. Would I buy one? No, never. Ever, 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 ever. Would I hire one for a day? For an hour? In the south of France, yes. Here, no. It's terrifying, and it's cold, and it's almost better than walking. So that's the Renault Twizy. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to go down below, give the video a like. While you're down there, you can also subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can leave a comment and tell me something of interest. I'm sure it will be very interesting. And you can also find the links to all of our social media. We have a Patreon page down there. If you want to, you can become a member by hitting the join button now, so that's good. We have some lovely merch, which I'm sporting today, the little buckle up logo. And I guess that's it, so I'll see you next time. Hopefully in something different to that. Bye. That dog looked happy in the back of that car. Yeah. Probably wanted to mate with it.